And we are live. And as Joshua says, let's go. Um, I'm
It's
sorry.
awfully enthusiastic for a Saturday night, Joshua.
It's
Well,
actually going to be early morning for him because
I
he's
was
in
going to say it's a
Australia.
Sunday for
Oh,
him.
right. Oh, good grief. No wonder. He's already day drinking. I see how it is. God bless the Aussies. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
So, Kristen, welcome to the show. We've already gone off on a tangent before we even mentioned your name.
That's all right. I'm really happy to be here.
And
You've never seen this show, then. We can fix that.
you are known on the interwebs as the Book Hermit, and you
Yes.
are right-hand person of Bo Kelly on SFF Insiders. I made that last part up, maybe. I don't know. You can confirm or deny it.
Yeah, that's me. I'm known as the Book Hermit across all socials. And yeah, I am a reviewer for the Science Fiction Fantasy Insiders team, or SFFI. We have a blog where we review all sorts of traditional and indie published books.
How many, well, I guess first of all, the Book Hermit, I mean, do you not get out much?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not really a play on words. I don't know, just kind of
It's
keep to
very
myself.
literal.
Kind of keep to myself, but I did try to challenge myself this year to kind of come out of my shell a bit. You know, like I said, this is my second ever podcast. My first one being with Livia a couple months back, and it's a play on words that I kind of don't get out too much, and I really rather just be sitting at home reading, and also just hermit, like hermit crabs, crustaceans. I think they're neat, so kind of like a double play on word there. But yeah, Book Hermit is
As authors,
kind of
we
like my.
appreciate that.
His author's what?
That you like to stay in and read. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, you know, I'd just rather be at home.
And you only go out when it's sunny, right?
Sorry, your mic cut out for a
Like you
second.
break up a bit.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you only go out when it's sunny, right?
Well, if that's the case, then I'd only be out 1 month a year because we live in
gonna
Seattle.
say,
It's gray.
living in
months of the
Seattle
year.
would be like living in England. It's like, yeah, I come out every day when it's sunny, twice this year so far.
Exactly. Yeah, it stays pretty gray and gloomy, but we usually get a little bit of sun in summer.
So this is a dumb question. It has nothing to do with books or anything, but just where you live.
Yes.
The Cascadia subduction zone. Nothing? You never looked into it?
No?
Oh, I'm going to ruin your life. Yeah, Google that sometime.
Are you talking about like the Ring of Fire?
Nope. The Cascadian subduction zone. It's overdue, and it will pretty much wreck everything west of I-5 into Northern California. From like Vancouver all the way down to Northern California.
The earthquakes. Oh, yeah, that's okay.
All right. It is really interesting that you should read it.
Yeah.
You're talking geology, so I mean, recent or overdue means sometime in the next 100,000 years. So
yeah, it's not going to be in my lifetime.
It happens about every 600 years or so.
And when was the last one?
We're overdue by decades.
No.
Yeah. So anytime.
Anytime. Okay. Well,
you just might want to map a course.
It happens.
It'll happen during World Cup.
Yeah, right. When everybody's here. The biggest event of the year is when the.
I'm not trying to set it. I just read the article once a few years ago. I just found it fascinating, actually, that they could tell all this kind of stuff, and they did it by looking at written records, and talking to. I'm trying to help her, man. I'm trying to say, find out and make a plan. No, but they found out about it by talking to the native people in that area, right? And listening to their stories. And they all have stories of these big bad things that have happened at a certain time, right? and they were all looking like they were happening around the same time. And they went to Japan, where they've been keeping written records of tsunamis and everything for like over 1,000 years. And there was one orphan tsunami where, I mean, they kind of had an idea of what caused it, what caused tsunamis. But there was an orphan tsunami where it just came and like wiped out all kinds of shit, and they didn't know what where it came from. And they did all the research and figured it was the exact same time frame as all these native stories here. So it was the subduction event here that caused the tsunami in Japan, and they had written records of it there. Just
Very fascinating. Yeah, I don't keep up with like natural disasters and when they're supposed to happen. I feel like I already have enough anxiety on my plate.
No, that's fine. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's talk about something more exciting. Do you know anybody who works in an emergency room?
Do I know?
Oh, yeah, you probably weren't here for last night's episode. You missed that.
Safe answer. Safe answer. Good job.
I do not.
If you get a chance, go back and watch that from about the 35-minute mark. Yeah. Oh, see, I'm talking about Pulitzer stuff. See, it's all writing related.
Yeah, I'm just don't keep up with that kind of stuff, I guess.
All right, so if you want to stay in your house like a hermit crab, which is fine, and we can understand that, and get behind it in some respects, because that's what we're doing right now, rather than going out and actually speaking to people in person and having to shake their hands. We do this. What got you into the book review kind of space?
So, and this probably isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone, but Bo reached out to me one day, just randomly said, "Hey, would you be interested in being a reviewer for a blog?" And I said, "Sure, as long as I can read on my own time and there's no like time restriction or pressure, then I would love to read and review books." And he said, "There isn't." And I said, "Sign me up." And from then on, here we are.
In any other walk of life, you would be yelling stranger danger. If some random dude kind of off the internet called you up and said, "Hey, I've got a proposition for you."
Well, I'd been kind of lurking around on Twitter prior to that, and I knew Bo was a kind of a well-known face in the indie book community, so it wasn't a total stranger, so to speak. I had seen him, and I had been lurking around and seeing the content he posts and the people he interacts with. So came as a surprise, but I wasn't too weirded out or anything.
So how long has that been that you've been doing that then?
So coming up on a year. Will be a year this spring. Yeah, being a reader and reviewer for the SFFI blog.
And for anybody who doesn't know, that's the Science Fiction Fantasy Insiders blog?
Correct.
Ooh,
yes.
I wrote it down earlier.
I wrote it down, hang on.
Otherwise, I'd never remember it.
It's a mouthful, so people just call it usually SFFI is the acronym.
Okay. Do you remember what the first book you reviewed was?
I do. It was, and I know Josh is on with us right now, it was The Rest to the Gods by Joshua Walker. That was the first book that I reviewed for SFFI, and I loved it and had a lot of great things to say about it.
I'm a little surprised that you don't have like a big wall of books behind you right now.
Yes, currently in my media room, gaming room, my personal bookish office is a complete disaster right now. So
that's what makes it a bookish office.
It's really bad. So I just relocated into here, and it has better lighting. So.
Right. So how many books do you review generally in a given month?
Probably one, 1 to 2. I'm a pretty slow reader. So I average maybe about 13 to 15 books a year. But I also really enjoy reading books that are 500 to 700 or greater pages in length. So, and I like to take my time, don't like to rush. So not as many as some other people on the team, but maybe 1 or 2 a month on average.
The big sigh you may have seen from Michael there, because Mike has this arbitrary,
very arbitrary
thing about not reading books that are more than 500 pages because
Really?
I don't know, he can't be bothered.
You're missing so much.
So I did read Mistborn way back several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's a good story, but you could cut out 300 pages and it would still be a good story, and you'd be a whole lot less of crap that you have to read that doesn't matter.
Don't say that, because I just took my first ever Sanderson plunge last month, and I read and I'm just about to finish with Warbreaker, and then I was recommended to read either the Stormlight Archive or the Mistborn series after that.
I liked Mistborn, but I don't like really long books. I don't know. I just like, can't you tell this in 400 pages or less? That's a Mike thing, though, so don't let that be off-putting.
We have a hot take.
Dang.
See, I haven't read it, so you two discussed whether or not Joshua is correct.
Josh was the one who got me to read Warbreaker, and now he's saying that Mistborn sucks.
See, I like the Reckoners, the series that he did that was more like YA almost, but it was also shorter because I guess he's writing YA, so he couldn't write 1,200-page books. Those were actually decent, but
yeah, I don't have anything else to
nobody's
say against
defending
it.
Mistborn here. So as someone who hasn't read it, I don't know what to think now.
I don't either.
I will default to it sucks. That's the type of guy I am.
I'm gonna remain neutral and
so you
keep
don't
my
really
hopes
like it
up.
that much, do you?
Here you go. This is a Canadian, no less, saying this. Meh, from a Canadian.
Which is...
I like the Sanderson contributions to Wheel of Time. Okay.
Oh, I will also never read Wheel of Time, so...
I think I read that a long time ago.
Well, I guess I'll read Stormlight Archive after Warbreaker and push Mistborn off further down the line.
It seems like if you were... I don't know, I would just think that if you weren't that jazzed about it and enough to defend it, I guess, why would you read something else by him?
Who, me?
No, not you. You don't read anything big.
I mean, I don't know. I just want to experience everything. I will, and this probably has come back to bite me many times, I will not DNF a book. I will always see it through to the end. I will always see it through.
Awful?
Even if it's just slogging 75% through, and then the last bit, I'm like, oh, cool. What?
Were you raised Catholic?
No.
Because that's just something, as a person raised Catholic, that's just something, it's like self-flagellation. I will continue reading this book. It's fucking awful. But, I have to do it because somehow it makes me a better person.
No, when I start something, I want to finish it. If I DNF something, it's just going to sit in the back of my mind that what if the last bit of that was the best book ever?
Oh, see, now I don't feel like I could recommend some books and really challenge you to see if you could finish them or not. But
what are the top 3 on your list there?
My brother and I, we always go back and forth. Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. I forget, Terry Brooks, I think, is by. It's truly terrible. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas, what's his face? Guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Adams.
That's it. Which I loved, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but that was just atrocious. And I there's more, trust me. Anything by Stephen King, I'll probably hate.
Anything by Stephen King?
Yeah, anything.
I mean, I'm not a huge Stephen King fan, but he's got a couple of decent books, man.
So, and this is my brother for Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. He will back me up on this. But, I'm really kind of upset with Andrew Wizard from Andrew's Wizardly Reads, because I told him I hate Stephen King. If there's one thing I know that the man cannot write anything decent to save his life, he's like, read The Green Mile. I guarantee you'll like it.
Have you never seen The Green Mile?
No, of course not. I don't watch movies.
Bloody hell, man.
So I read the
Green
book.
Mile's good.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Okay, it's okay. It's good.
Shawshank Redemption?
I saw that movie.
Stephen King.
But, I mean, there's a lot of movies that came from Stephen King's books, and are they...
No, some of them suck hard. Right? I mean,
The
what the
people
hell
who say the Dark Tower trilogy, septuplet, whatever the hell it is,
Dark Tower was good.
That's
I haven't
pretty
read Dark
terrible.
Tower.
Oh, it's horrible. But anyway, there's a lot of... I don't like Joe Abercrombie. I don't like Robin Hobbs. There's a lot of people I don't like, so you should probably not listen to me. I have hot takes.
Yeah, you do.
So I asked folks in the thing here, what's the worst book ever? We'll see if if you could read it, because why not? And somebody said Ulysses. You ever given that a go?
I have not. I will say the driest book I ever read, and it's not science fiction fantasy. It was what I read way back in high school. It was The Grapes of Wrath by Stephen King, or not Stephen King, sorry, John Steinbeck. And that book was dry and the pace of a snail, but finished it through. And I feel like that's probably the top bar of like,
in a high
I didn't
school
have a good time.
English class they had a list of books on the wall, and we had to pick one and give a report on it. And I didn't know who anybody was, so I just randomly looked away and poked at the wall. And I told the dudes at my table before I went up and randomly poked, I said, as long as I don't have to read like something stupid like The Red Badge of Courage, right? And that's exactly what my finger landed on. So
at least you got to pick.
My report on The Red Badge of Courage was that he was paid, and I still remember this bit, so I guess maybe the effort was worthwhile. He was paid like $190 or $90 for it, and I said he was grossly overpaid, and I just went off on the book. And some kid came up to me after class and said, "Dude, you just said what everybody here wanted to say. You're going to fail, but you said what everybody." And sure enough, I got an F on that assignment, so which I thought was kind of. But she's dead now, that teacher, so whatever. I laughed at it.
Oh man.
So back when I was young and willing to read really long books.
Yeah, but they all had to be written by hand then, so it doesn't really count.
This is true. I decided I need to read the classics, so I started trying to read Moby Dick, and then I was like, no, God no, hell no, never ever again will I subject myself. When you got to the commoners may not understand about whales, let me write a 40-page chapter on the different types of whales. I was like, nope, I'm done. DNF is my new best friend.
That's what Steinbeck also did, just describing 10, 15 pages of the grass in a field or just very unnecessary landscape. And you're like, wow, I could never imagine that someone could write 15 pages on one scenery. But
and see, that's why whenever everybody says that they really like, who's that duffer that wrote Old Man in the Sea?
Hemingway, and that's an
Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway.
I hate Hemingway.
I like
I
Old Man in the
loathe
Sea.
Hemingway.
Old Man in the Sea is great.
It's like there was an old lady crying by the ocean, and he just keeps repeating himself over and over and over. And even as an adult, I went back to it and I said, people say it's a classic. Let me give it another chance. I'm older now, blah, blah, blah. And I still didn't make it past the first chapter. And to finish reading that's why I can't understand, Kristen, how you can finish reading a book that you hate, because I would have to punch myself in the throat to read that book. Ernest Hemingway blows. Okay, and this is the whole point. I guess
everyone's loving Hemingway.
of talking to someone who reviews books as opposed to writing them, right? Somebody will always like what you do, and somebody will always hate what you do, regardless how good you are, or how good you think you are, or how good people say you are. So people love Sanderson. Joshua thinks Mistborn sucks. People love Hemingway, and they're wrong. And That's fine. We can all agree to disagree. That's okay.
So, I have another question that I normally
Okay.
ask sci-fi authors, but this will, further, drive a wedge between Ro and I and our guests. So, which one is better? And there's only one correct answer, and
Oh
Ro
my
is
God.
Okay.
rather fly over the main street of your city on a griffin or walk down the main street of your city riding a T-Rex.
I mean, one can fly, so that's
But one can destroy cars and bring fear in everyone on the street.
I
One
feel like
could,
any
if
fantasy
trained.
creature is gonna instill fear into anyone on the street. It don't matter what it is.
Oh,
And only one of
It's
them
a
might.
griffin. It's just because it could fly. I'd rather be up in the air, soaring the skies. Sorry.
If trained, the griffin could also do push-ups. Right?
Yes.
Not.
Team Griffin. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Griffin. If you flipped it and said if you had to be either soaring on the skies on a Griffin or taking a stroll on the street with like a dragon,
Oh, dragon.
yeah,
then I would go with dragon. But
Oh, absolutely.
Griffins can fly. Sorry, Mike.
So that's okay. Just dividing our fans. That's what we are here for.
So we've established then that you read even horrible things.
Well, we didn't say I read horrible things.
Well,
I feel like I read a lot of great things.
Well, I'm sure you do, and we'll get to
Don't
that.
put words in my mouth.
Well, you said that you read everything, even if you don't.
I said I
DNF
will
it.
not DNF a book.
Well, to me, that means you read horrible things.
Maybe she picks really well, or she has.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a possibility,
I
right?
feel I do pick really well. I feel like all the stuff I've read in the past year alone has been amazing. 5-star, 4-star reads.
Okay. So you haven't read Mike's book or my book. That's
No.
fine. We can change that. We have the ability. Okay, so when you find a book that maybe you don't like as much as other books, how do you handle your reviews?
So
I bet you would be.
one, I keep out of the review itself, I keep star ratings out of the review. If there's something that didn't work with me, I will explain why it didn't work with me, but why it might work for someone else. Because
Okay.
I don't want to bash anyone's books, especially if it's an indie book. Indie authors' lives go into writing these. So if it doesn't personally work for me, that doesn't mean it's not going to work for someone who's reading the review. There's always, nice, positive things to find and say about a book. So, yeah, props for DNFing.
We're not DNFing.
Props for not DNFing. Yeah. So just keeping star ratings out. If it doesn't work for me, explain why, but explaining why it might work for someone else. So I like to kind of have that in the review, and of course just go over what I like to do is go over world building, characters, and plots, and then overall enjoyment and like magic systems. And I'll just go, deep dive into all of those. If, say, a book doesn't have a magic system, which is usually pretty rare because I read the science fiction fantasy genre. So just dive into those. And I've not really, I want to say, written a bad review. If there is a book that really, truly didn't vibe with me, I will withhold a review. I'm not going to publish something bad out there. Just because I didn't like something. So in that case, I would just say, reach out to, whoever, if the author gave it to me or if the publisher gave it to me, just say, hey, thank you so much. I'm not going to review this on the website just because it didn't work for me.
I totally understand why you and a lot of other reviewers do that, and I agree with it. But the little contrarian part of me thinks if I was reading a reviewer, right? And I was following a reviewer and trying to find books and blah, blah, blah. It would hit me sooner rather than later that they never give bad reviews. And I wouldn't necessarily think, well, you just don't post those reviews, right? I would kind of lean toward they give everybody a good review for whatever reason. And I know that's not what you do, and I'm absolutely agree with why you do it the way you do it, right? But I would just think that sometimes I don't want to sound like an asshole, but sometimes a little negativity, right, lends credibility to all the other things that you say.
I could see that.
So, to be a contrarian to your contrarianness,
Oh,
Ro,
please. Yes.
there are certain booktubers that I watch their shows a couple times a week they put out, and the one in particular I watched, and he was talking about a book, and he never said he liked it. He's like, this is the premise, this is what it is, this is what it, and but and because I watch him regularly, I'm like, okay, he did not really care for this book, but he got it free and he's not going to trash someone. So because I've watched him enough, I can kind of, parse, kind of like with reviews. I can, when people say, I did not like this, and they pick something random, I'm like, I don't think that's really the problem. I think you didn't like it in my books. It's first person present tense, but you don't realize that yourself. So you're, picking, I don't know. I think if there's familiarity, you can clearly see that what they're not saying.
And that's fair. I mean, if the reviewer's using some type of coded language to say, I really didn't like this, then okay. That's
my
fine.
coded language is this didn't work for me, but could work for someone else.
Right. I mean that's fair. I mean because you're not going to like everything, and if you're honest about it, like this part didn't work for me, fine. Um. So we also EL, in case you know, he's like the third person in Bald&Balding, but he has too much hair, so he has questions.
Yeah, he actually tries to make us like um, credible.
Or on topic.
Good luck with that.
So,
But it's a fine question. How do you manage consistency?
Well, I do have a scale, a ranking scale that is on my Goodreads and in my review policy when I share with authors of like how I rank books. I would say I probably rate more on the higher side, just because if you've written a good book and I love it, 5 stars. Like if I love it and I want to reread it, and if I had it digital and I want to purchase a physical copy, or have it in both paperback and hardcover, if I love it, I'm going to rate it 5 stars. If I loved it, but maybe there was just maybe a few things missing, I'd rate it, say, like 4 stars. But I really rarely rate books like 1-2 stars, just because also I pick what I read and what I review. So if something is going to interest me, of course I'm going to read and review it. If something does not interest me, I'm not going to review it and give it a bad review. So just, I guess that's kind of how I maintain having a bit more consistency in my personal reviews and for the blog team.
What book's been the biggest surprise? I mean, what book did you look at the cover and say, yeah, I'm probably not going to like this, and you started reading it and you really enjoyed it?
Oh man, come back to me on that. I have to think and go through
Okay.
a lot of books.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
You don't have to tell me your one favorite from 2024, but what are some of your favorites from last year that you read?
Ironically, you ask. I have a stack next to me that I've prepared.
Oh yeah, break them out.
So last year was amazing. I think I only read about 13-ish books. All of them, except for one, were indie. and all of them were amazing. Might as well kick off with some favorites. So a lot of dark fantasy. Here are two that I really enjoyed. Renya by Carl Forshaw. Great book, 5 stars, loved it. Had to get the hardback because it was a trophy shelf book. Memory of Song,
Nice.
Scott Palmer.
Yep.
Another amazing book, very dark. Also, his novella, The Sound of Starfall, I'm also lumping that in just because it's of the same series. Fantastic. Exile of Water and Gold, Joshua Walker, along with his novella, The Rest of the Gods. Fantastic series. Definitely my favorite book of 2024. This is going to be it. So really love this book. And then, of course, Wistful Ascending.
Yep.
By Joe. Yeah, this was a really great book. I actually listened to it on audio.
Yeah.
So, and the author, Wayne Farrell, I think was his name, did a fantastic job narrating. There were times that I was listening while driving home from work, and there would just be parts that were so funny in this book that Wayne brought to life that I would have to pause in my car because I was laughing so hard that I just didn't want to like swerve off the road or something. So I really loved his. And then just recently, actually a couple of weeks ago, so this technically isn't 2024, but it's still a favorite book, kind of all time. The Legend of So this actually isn't out yet. This will be coming out. Huh?
Can you lift it up a little higher?
Yeah. Legend of
In Hall. Okay.
Aaron Hall. Yes. He gave me his audio for a review, and that review will be going up probably in a couple weeks on the website. And it's basically if you had a D&D party traversing through Skyrim, and everyone in Skyrim was full of sass and snark, and it's very funny, very down to earth. It's probably targeted towards a little bit of a younger audience, but I thought it was great. So I really love that book. And then the last book that I have, and if anyone follows or has been following my social for the past year will know that this book, The Tome of Haran, is kind of my all-time favorite indie book. This is actually, and Mike, I know you were asking pretty recently, this is actually getting a cover rebrand. So Damien is in the process of doing a cover re-release and a little bit of editing, and is also working on book 2. But The Tome of Haran actually was my first ever indie book that I picked up out of my own, like before I was even reviewing. And so I really, really enjoyed it. It's very dark fantasy, very well written. So, you know, I credit a lot to this book actually for kind of kickstarting my journey.
Just going to go through the chat here. We've had a bunch of questions come up.
Oh, so okay.
Quick fire these real quick. Do you judge covers and blurbs too, or just the story?
Just the story, honestly. Covers are nice. Of course, covers have appeal, but I'm more interested in what's on the inside than on the outside. I know that can be kind of controversial, you know, especially when we have artists who have beautiful covers by Jeff Brown, I believe is his name. He does amazing covers for fantasy books. And then we might have authors who, you know, maybe they couldn't afford a, you know, huge cover artist and they've maybe done it on their own. I don't really judge on covers. And I don't really judge on blurbs either. I will just do the back synopsis, and if it sounds like something I'm interested in, then I'll go for it.
Okay. What themes become your favorite rereads, or do you reread, I guess?
I will reread on occasion. Dark, fantasy, trauma. The darker, the better. No happy endings. So really enjoy the grittier stuff, rather, I'd say than just like a happy fantasy story. I do enjoy some like a good break though in between dark fantasy, because if you read too much of it, it kind of like dogs you down a little bit. So
Right.
I'm having something like, say, Wistful Ascending, in the middle between two dark fantasy books. It really lightens the mood and can just kind of is a palate cleanser, so to say. But definitely dark fantasy is my preferred favorite genre.
Okay. What's the last book you bought a physical copy of?
And this may or may not get a lot of hate, but it was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I got a deluxe edition copy of that, so that was the last book that I purchased.
Why would people hate that?
Because some people really hate the series.
Fourth Wing, right?
Fourth Wing, yeah. And then of course she released these deluxe editions that were only available at certain like Target locations, and people kind of have mixed opinions on it kind of being like a cash grab. But I could say I was guilty of being outside a Target 30 minutes before they opened in line waiting to get a copy of said limited edition Onyx Storm.
That's not a cash grab, that's marketing.
Oh, works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
what are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and then I am also reading Dance With Me by Livia Elliott. That is a review that will be going up on the blog probably in the next month or so. But I'm currently reading those two, and then I don't know what I want to read after I finish Warbreaker. I have too much.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure your TBR is pretty big.
Kristen, real quick, Ro, I just want to make a couple recommendations for you.
Okay.
Friends of the show, books you should try out. Platinum Darkness.
Own
Tim,
it.
you got it cover?
I got it, and I want the new cover.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Need a break from all the dark. Another friend of the show, Laura
Is
Hughes.
she paying you for this?
This was one of my 3 favorite books of the
You've
last.
been pimping this book for a month.
That's on my TBR, but I don't own it. But
So-
yes, I've seen that.
It's cozy, so if you need
It's
a break,
cozy. That's okay.
it's kind of like the Hobbit goes and he sees Smaug, and Smaug's like, "Let me tell you my story, then I'll leave, and you can have all the treasure."
Oh.
It's a dragon
Yeah.
tea party.
Yeah. Any books with dragons in it, immediately TBR ad. Yeah.
I don't actually read physical books, so I don't have but a very few here. So when I want to give recommendations, there's only so many.
Yeah, I love book recommendations. I feel like we all kind of go within the same circles. So just if anyone has recommendations, I'm always up for them.
Bald&Balding, brought to you by Laura Huey. It's not a bad thing, right? It'll be okay.
The numbers when she's on the show, those are some of our most watched shows.
I know, man. I'm not saying bad things. Who does everyone need to be reading? So think back for the last year you've been doing this, and who is that author that people need to give more attention to? Bushy.
It's actually going to be a traditional author.
We don't care about that.
James, and I hope I'm saying his last name right, Islington. He wrote the Lycanius trilogy.
Yep.
And that was his debut trilogy. And then after that, he wrote The Will of the Many. The Lycanius trilogy is so good, and I feel like it does not get enough attention. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but just the way from book 1 to book 3, the way it all works and connects. It's just something that I don't see enough in fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. And it's been a couple years since I've read it, and I feel like if I want to do a reread soon, it would be that series.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. I think we've answered that. Let's see.
I'm not biased, I swear.
So
Sorry, I'm having to read all these again.
I know that the SFF Insiders, they are judging the Spacebow competition,
Yes.
but you are not part of that. But would you ever be a judge for one of those competitions?
I don't know if I would, just because you need to read a certain amount of books in a time frame, and I just stress that I wouldn't. I'm just such a slow reader that if I did commit, I wouldn't be able to read my allotted books. I would love to, but I'd have to change my reading habits, so to speak.
This is a question from the audience that might bring us a little off topic, but
That's okay.
not like we've never been there. Has anyone here ever read manga? I'm going to say no.
I haven't.
I have not.
Mike, no.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have not.
I did not like comic books when I was 10.
What?
And graphic novels are nothing but glorified comic books, so I don't read.
You've never played D&D. You don't read What are you doing here?
I don't really think I read comics. The only comics I read was like Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
And that
that
was it. Those were the only comics I loved to read.
What about Bloom County?
Ugh,
No,
hated
nothing
it.
else.
You what?
Hated it. Abhorred it.
We cannot be friends anymore. Bloom County was fantastic.
My brothers would agree with you, but they're wrong. So they
Oh.
picked the Griffin. So
All right. So Jubilee, if you have a manga thing that we all should read, please, drop a line. Let us know what it is, and we'll put it up on the screen.
like that.
Right on, J4.
So we were talking off camera. You are going to be going to Worldcon this year.
Absolutely. It's going to be practically on my doorstep. How can I not go to Worldcon?
So, how many people do you know of that are going that you're going to hopefully see? Do you
Let's
have
see.
numbers?
I'm hoping Josh Walker will be there. I know he's trying to figure out some stuff last minute. Joe will be there. Bo hopefully will be there. All of our locals, so Zach Argyle, MT Zimney, Brian Asher, they will all be there. And then who else? I mean, I'm really hoping to see Josh, I'm really hoping to see Bo, and I'm hoping to see Joe. Those are the three people that I'm really hoping to see at Worldcon. But Noah Brisk, but he's local, but he'll be there. Noah Brisk, he does Brisk reviews. And then I think Scott Palmer said he might be going as well. So a handful of people. I'm sure it is going to be great. Seattle traffic's going to be 10 times worse than it already is. So there's that.
But you live there, so you can just, take a bus or whatever, right? You can skateboard or unicycle, whatever the hell it is people in Seattle are riding these days.
Probably be taking my vehicle. Yeah, because I got to go across the bridge. So
Well, that goes without saying that you have to cross a bridge, though, doesn't it?
I have to cross at least
Isn't
one
that
of the
like
two
Portland?
bridges to get to Worldcon.
Right? Like Portland, you're going to have to. I only have 3 left, J4. We're down to 3.
So yeah, Mike, you said you were going to be going?
I am going, but I am,
Nice.
I understand the whole hermit thing. I am very much an introvert. So
Yeah.
I've already decked out my spot. I'm going to be Palmer Pickering's assistant at the Free Lounge.
Oh, nice.
The idea of
Okay.
walking around in a group of people just is harrowing to even contemplate. So therefore, I'm just going to be there, and I can be like, "Here, this is a great book. Read this. Go away." And that's how I'm going to spend my con.
It's good to have a plan.
Okay, so I should find you. I will receive a book, and then we don't have to talk, and we can just go our separate ways.
There's going to be like couches and comfy chairs, so you can actually sit and read there if you want.
Oh, nice.
I have a feeling there'll be too many people to actually read, and I'll be the one going, "Shut up, shut up."
Walk around with a sandwich board, Kristen, that says, "Go meet Mike Molman.
Yeah, just hold a
Go
sign.
say hi. Lick your hands first."
And have Crombie come meet me so I can tell him that he's overrated.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That's going to be the second big bookish event that I'll be doing this year. The first being Emerald City Comic Con coming up in March. So we're going to there's a specific alleyway at Emerald City that they call it Writer's Block Alley, and that's where all the authors are. And so it's really fun to walk through there.
So as a person just going there, you probably really like that, right? You can just see all.
Yeah, no obligations.
As someone who has tables at these things sometimes, and when Mike gets back, he may or may not agree. I'm not sure that I'm fond of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're kind of scattered around, then people will say, "Oh well, I'm going to go look at all these books," right? And they'll probably go look at all of them first. Whereas if they're all right there, especially if you have a couple of fantasy authors right together, I don't know. As from a pure kind of selling standpoint, it's not ideal, but
it was really great last year. So I mean, I had a fun time, and it was fun just learning about everybody's books that they've written, and then of course seeing some familiar faces.
I mean, as a book reviewer, yeah, that's kind of like Christmas, with with a food stand. That's awesome. You can go check all that out.
Yeah, it's a fun event. It's large. It gets crowded very quickly, and so it's like it's 4 days, and the first 2 days are the least crowded. So there's the days that I go, and then Saturday and Sunday I don't want to be anywhere in downtown Seattle when that's going on.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
You should do a live from there, Mike.
That sounds dreadful.
Yeah. Pull some people in, sit down, do a little live.
Yeah. Sure, you could gather a handful pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Line up the authors and be like, "And I don't like your work, and I don't like your work."
Oh.
George R. R. Martin, you're a hack. Great. I can, and I can't be concerned.
I'm sure George R. R. Martin and Stephen King both look at you, Mike, from their giant houses.
I was gonna say from their
with
castles,
their gate, right?
on their piles of money.
Right. Scrooge McDucking in their pool full of gold coins, and don't really give a toss what you think.
I'm confident that is true.
I know I would. If I ever had that kind of money, I would I would go to the bank and say, "I want a truckload of coins. I want to Scrooge McDuck. Just once. Just for the hell of it."
You probably only do it once, you break your neck.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't do it from a diving board. So what are you looking forward to this year, Kristen? Book-wise, is there anything that you've heard's coming out that you're looking forward to?
Yes. The second book of Scott Palmer's series will be coming out sometime this year. I don't know when, sometime in 2025. And then Josh Walker's second novella, The Child of the Greenwood, will be coming out very soon. I read that, and it was phenomenal. So I can't wait to get my hands on a physical to go on my shelf. In terms of anything else, I don't know if James Islington's The Strength of the Few is releasing this year or not. I know it's been pushed back a couple of times, but that's something I'm really looking forward to as well, to continue his from the first book, The Will of the Many. And then Brian Asher, who is a local author here in Seattle, he has a bunch of novels that all take place kind of in the same universe. He has a new book coming out that he'll have available at Emerald City Comic Con, so I'm excited to get my hands on that as well.
Yep.
And
What if he only shows up on Saturday?
he'll be there all the days. He'll be there I've checked. He has a booth. He'll be there the whole time. And on Thursday morning, I will be there, 10 o'clock in the morning, waiting for my book.
From someone who sat behind one of these tables, we love people like you.
Oh yeah,
who sit there and it's like, and when they say, okay, we're getting ready for the early folks coming in, and people actually come in, love those people.
And me just running up the stairs to the third floor of the Seattle Convention Center, straight
Especially
to someone's
people
booth.
Like you who aren't coming back Saturday and Sunday, because it's weird. You go to these things and you see people who are there for 3 or 4 days, just walking around 8 hours a day.
It's a lot.
I've been to a Comic-Con, smaller ones, a couple of times just to go, usually to say hi to somebody. But it holds my attention for about a half an hour.
Really?
I can't imagine walking around one. Well, again, they're small ones. I can't imagine walking around one several days in a row for 8 hours at a time.
Huh. Yeah, just the first day will be just books, doing books. And then second day will be the leisure walk around day to just see what else is going on, because there's so much. It's, all the floors of the convention center are filled and it's massive. And I think last year, looking at their statistics, I think they had almost like 90,000 people.
Nice.
So one day for just getting what I need to get, and then the second day just hanging out.
About how many authors are set up at that thing?
Last year, it was double-sided, and there was a couple on the first floor. I don't know. I think I talked to maybe 30 authors last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
We don't have anything. Mike and I are both in Virginia. We don't really have anything really big. The closest big thing that we have is up in DC, and Mike and I, that may be where we met actually. And that was like what, 2019?
No, I didn't publish my first.
Or 2021.
Yeah.
So it was just after COVID.
Okay.
And it was this enormous conference center, but it was mostly pop culture kind of anime.
Oh.
Right? There were a few authors, but the people who were there were mostly teenage girls, right? You're not selling a lot of books to that crowd. And it was just most of the there were only like 4 tables, that sold comic books.
Yeah.
So to have something where there's a really good author contingent and everything, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, they were on the top floor, and then the writer's block alley was also next to artist alley, so people who do all the graphical art and the illustrations. And then the second floor, I believe, was like comics, more manga, anime, and then the first floor was miscellaneous vendors, and they also had the tattoo artist block, which you could go and
Are you thinking?
get a tattoo.
Oh, you froze.
So,
to me, I don't know if you did to anybody else, but
No, just you, Ro.
Oh,
all right. I don't know what. What's on the first floor? I missed what was on the first floor.
Just more miscellaneous vendors, and then the tattoo artist alley where people are, if you want a tattoo, you can get a tattoo there. So
There you go, Mike.
Not going to Emerald City, unfortunately.
It's a fun event, pretty neat, and it's big and it is draining and it's exhausting, and you got to wear comfy shoes and you got to bring snacks, and just sometimes you find yourself just kind of sitting on the floor in a corner, exhausted because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you because
Okay.
I've been thinking. Is there a go-to person for you for book recommendations that, like, when they tell me this, I know I'm going to love it and I have to get the book? Is there anybody who fills that role, or is there a book reviewer that you really trust, or is it just you?
Bo. Bo. Bo actually recommended me Wistful Ascending, and I loved it. And he's also recommended a few other things. I would say, yeah, it's probably Bo.
And my,
He's hit every time he's recommended something to me.
and my other question, which we asked you off camera, is what dirt do you have on Bo? What can you share with us that's embarrassing?
Nothing.
Maybe Bo has dirt on her.
And,
She
obviously,
can't share anything, and she's giving him huge recommendations.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything on Bo. Bo's the best, most down to earth person. We're really lucky to have him, and the whole book community is lucky to have him.
Yeah.
He's always behind the scenes. He's always connecting people with, books and authors, and he's bringing people together. He's the greatest, and even if I did have dirt on him, I probably wouldn't say.
You'd finish that book. You'd finish that, Bo, and you would be fine. You know, this community really is fantastic. I mean, we've been doing this now. We're almost 2 years, right, Mike?
Yep, almost.
Something
That's
like that.
impressive.
And I think of the 170 something episodes of this that we've done, I think there's maybe one guest we've had that Mike and I talked afterwards, and I won't speak for Mike, but I said, never again
Oh,
will these people come on this. Will we talk to them?
Well, my list is a little longer, but yeah, I mean, it's still, we're
Yikes.
talking like, 3 total.
Yeah, I mean, you know who mine is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Um,
I could talk you into a couple more, but not here live.
Yeah, it's a tremendous community. It really is, and people like
It
Bo
is.
really help kind of bring it together. And EL and the Timocracy here and all that. And Mike and I talk about that all the time, right? How lucky we are that we get 20, 30, 40 people several times a week who actually, spend an hour of their life they'll never get back to come in and listen to us buffoon around and talk to folks like you. So.
Well, Cena just got here, so we're just going to have to go back to the beginning and do it all over again
And
now.
just start over.
Did Cinna, were you here last night? I don't think she was she? Yeah, you need to go back and watch last night's episode, Cinna.
Yeah, that was something.
As should you, Kristen.
Okay, yeah. Have to give it a go.
Strangest show.
We got to see video of Indian traffic circles, which was amusing, but not as amusing as the stories of Indian emergency rooms. So,
and
I'll have to go back and watch it.
And see, now I have to ask, and forgive me for this, but we were also talking about zombie porn, which apparently is a thing.
who knew?
I can tell already. You're like, no, I've never.
Not on your TVR.
No.
Just as well, I suspect.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. That is shocking.
So wait a minute. If I found one of those books and sent it to you, you would have to finish it. By your own rules, you would have to finish it.
And no, that wouldn't be reviewed. In a private review. Ro made me do this now.
So the crazy thing, though, Kristen, is 3 times I've brought up zombie porn now, and all 3 times people are like, yes, it's a thing, and everyone.
I haven't heard of that. I mean,
like,
I've heard of
apparently
some
it's
other
not
weird things, but not that.
It's not just a thing, but apparently it's quite the thing.
The first guy I talked to, he's doing an anthology of zombies. He was up on a panel, and he's like, and it put in big bold letters. The second line said, "No zombie porn." He goes, and I still 40% of all entries was zombie porn, and I'm like, why? What? I'm confused. So, and I mentioned to a couple other people, and last night Beth Tabler, she's like, yes, it's a thing. And
I've never heard of it.
I would rather be blissfully ignorant. I don't have a problem DNFing, so I don't have to worry about it. I will never encounter this. So
Well, I probably
Oh.
won't willingly pick it up, so.
EL. What? I can't believe we haven't asked you this specifically the whole time we're here. What is your favorite book all time?
This one.
yeah, she showed us already.
Tomahara.
Well, she said that was. I didn't know that was like the my favorite of all time book. I thought that was just one of the ones she said that she's like.
I really enjoy this.
Okay.
So
This
those
one.
who like Roe, now you know the favorite book of all time again.
I was, usually people like break out The Hobbit or something like that. I didn't know she was going to go something.
Lord of the Rings. I do love Lord of the Rings.
So
And I feel like that's just its own separate like entity, so to speak. But I love Damien's book. And I think it was just because I picked it up at the right time. It was an introduction to the indie community. It was my introduction to reviewing. And it had everything I love in a book. It's dark, it's bloody, it has a dragon, it has assassins, it has political unrest. It is just a really good book. And I think, I don't know, it'll stick with me for a really long time. And I can't wait until book 2.
So I have a question now for you that I just have to ask, which is, do you prefer Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
Lord of the Rings.
For reading, you prefer Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
Very much a Hobbit for me. The Hobbit for me. But anyway.
Yeah, I do enjoy Lord of the Rings. I mean, all of them are great, but if you're making me pick, it's going to be Lord of the Rings.
And I suppose as we're getting near the end, it really wouldn't be a show with us if we didn't ask you this. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Wow, no hesitation at all.
No hesitation.
Okay, best captain?
Picard.
All right, that's fair. I'll give you Picard. Worst?
I don't know. They're all great, but
No, they're not.
Picard. Yeah,
They're not
they
all
are.
great. They're not.
I love the original series though.
Yeah, I mean
I like
that's
Picard as a captain. I love the original series. I love just Leonard Nimoy as a person. Star Trek.
okay. We'll let you you take that back, EL. I'm going to send her a letter, see if we can get her on the show. Catherine Mulgrew.
Yeah.
See if she'll come on one day. That'd be kind of fun. She could do a community service or something.
Smarmy Captain
Kirk. No,
Okay.
right.
Kristen, is there anything that you really wanted to make sure you told everyone when you're on this show and we just never covered it because that would not...
Spock was my first crush. It was also mine. So
Spock can only go once every 7 years. Don't forget that.
I don't know. Just go read a good book. Take life easy. Don't overthink it. Enjoy what you do.
That is fantastic advice, unless you're like a
just-
serial killer or something.
Okay,
In which
well,
case,
don't make
enjoy
it weird. We started it weird and now we're ending it weird. So
Have you not? You really haven't seen this show. They say find a brand and stick to your brand, and that's what we're doing.
No, you guys are great. No, I was really happy to be on. Like I said, it was my second ever podcast. I was really nervous, but it was great having some good laughs, having a good time, and just thank.
That is the geekiest sentence ever, and I love it. Right? And yes, Cinna, you're absolutely correct.
Oh man. Oh wow.
If you don't understand that sentence, go watch some Star Trek.
Go watch some OG Star Trek.
Okay, on that, I think we're going to call it a night.
Yeah.
So now it's time to wave awkwardly.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. Not
Wait.
yet. We are back again. When are we back again?
Tuesday.
On the 4th with Pia Leap.
Yes, she does the
Glass Canaan. Loose Canaan.
She does. She releases a chapter a week. On Royal Road
Okay, cool.
or something. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know these newfangled things. But anyway, she is all into that. And you know who's going to be certain to watch?
Who? You?
Because she's going to be doing that. So.
You go pitch your book again?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, so now can we wave awkwardly?
Yes, we can. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Kristen.